Hi everyone. So my name's Gregor Matthews, and I've spent the last 5 or so years working on the marketing side of e-commerce startups. Specifically, I've been getting into the data that these companies sit on, and also the customers that they have. In my current role at Finisterre, I was not too long ago in this exact situation. It was minus 5 degrees on the Isle of Lewis in the Outer Hebrides. It had been a freezing cold night, and the wood burner there with smoke coming out of it, we actually had to agree on 90-minute rotations with the team to stoke the fireplace to keep the tent warm enough to be able to sleep through the night. And I woke up and walked out of the tent and saw these cold, uncrowded, perfect waves. And this is exactly what we came for. We were there on a photo shoot, shooting a new film. And this was part of my job, which was amazing. Finisterre make products for these kind of environments. We build products for cold water surfers, both in and out of the water. And much like the North Face or Patagonia, there's a large aspirational crossover into non-participants. And when we're not on trips like these, or we're not out surfing when James calls, we're based down in Cornwall in a workshop on the cliff tops near St Agnes, and our sales are predominantly online. We've just also opened a store in Covent Garden in November last year. So we're in the city, which is a different pace of life to down in Cornwall. I was kindly asked by James, Ivan, Jalal, and team to come and share some learnings on retention. So without further ado, I'll get into it. So I assume most people in here either have an online business or you work in an online business. And the great news is you're sitting on this gift that is data to make your business better. It's an amazing age we live in. Some people say in the last 2 years, 90% of data has been created and stored, the world's data, this big data phenomenon. And this picture behind me, it may look like Jeff Bezos' new depot, but actually it's a data storage unit in Utah nicknamed Bumblehive. So there's just this awash with data out there. Now, as I was getting deeper into e-commerce, I had this list of questions, and the board were adding to this list of questions real fundamental basics, like what's our new repeat rate? How many one-off customers do we have? What's our churn rate? What are our new customers buying? We want to send a brochure to customers who've shopped in the last few years. Who are they? All these real basic questions that I was trying to answer, and I spent a lot of time on Google Analytics, searching around, trying to delve in deep. I personally find it quite a complex tool. It's great for some things, but I couldn't still get to most of the answers. I was also running a load of VLOOKUPs in Excel and crashing my computer regularly, trying to merge stock data with the website data. And also, we even went so far as to brief building bespoke Magenta reporting just to get the answers out of this tool, to get the answers to this big list of questions we had. And then we met the guys at Ometria about a year ago, and I was really impressed with how quickly and easily we could tick off a lot of these questions we had. And to me, Ometria makes sense of this wash of data that's out there. They project it in a retail-specific, intuitive way, and I've been really impressed to date. At the same time as we were forming this endless list of questions, in my head I was also exploring the idea of who is our actual customer. And we'd drawn triangles on the board and wrote things like early adopters, early majority, and we'd put pictures of aspirational customers, who we wanted it to be, all quite personal things. And also we'd putting attractive women on the board, putting good, cool-looking guys on the board. It was what we thought we wanted. And in my head, I was just going, who is our actual customer here? And it wasn't until I spent a few days with the marketing team at Pets at Home till I really understood this fundamental awareness of who your actual customer is, this quantifiable, objective picture of who your customer is. They've got an amazing business. And they have, with this objective information, they've orientated their departments around this customer. And spending the time there, it really hit home. Wow, we need to get to the bottom of who our actual customer is. So who is our customer? Who are we doing it for? I believe is a fundamental question that is often overlooked in businesses. And if you walk around your business and you ask 3 different people in there, who is your customer? You sit down with the guy who's designing your products. You sit down with the girl who's looking to acquire new customers or who's looking to talk to existing customers. And if you get 3 different answers on who those customers are, that is a problem. Successful companies have a customer in mind, an objective, specific customer in mind, and they are always present in the room. So when decision making, so who's your customer? I was really just like focused on this. Pets at Home really drilled it home. And so with this in mind, so with the big list of questions and our question marks over who our actual customer is, we went from exploring these areas and we started digging into things. So with the data, we ran customer health checks. So you may have seen a pie chart like this through the guys at Ametria. I'm not going to go into the definitions of VIP, loyal, new, all those customer segments, but they're simply put, they're based on frequency and recency of purchase. So it gives you a visual breakdown of the health of your customer base. And this terminology was in the business, but with Ametria, it became very easy to extract. It was live and it was visual, and it just became easy to see this information on a regular basis and keep it up to date. This health check going, we noticed that we had the dormant pile, so the pile of customers that haven't shopped in the last year was big, like a lot of businesses, but it was growing quite quickly as well. We came at it another angle. We looked at our churn rate, so essentially the percentage of customers your business is leaking, customers who aren't buying again, customers who shopped a year ago but didn't shop this year. And simply put, if you're leaking more customers than you're adding new, your active customer base is retracting and it's unlikely your business is growing. So this churn rate, this leakage, it is so important to A, know what the churn rate is, and B, do something about it to minimize this leakage out the back door of your customers. And when we looked at it, we had quite a significant churn rate. So from 2 angles looking at the data, we had a big dormant set that was increasing, and we had a high churn rate. So that was on the data side. Given this in mind and our somewhat lack of knowledge on who our actual customer was, the priority for myself was to find out who these dormant customers were and why they weren't buying again. So we conducted an online survey and worked with this lady with 30 years experience on generating surveys. It is an art in itself, being able to ask the right questions. So we put this survey out, and the findings we got back, I was enlightened, really. 90% of our customers were likely or very likely to buy again. This is the dormant pile. Their purchase life cycle was 3 years, and the biggest barrier to purchasing again was it was expensive. So some really insightful information there for us to be able to build things on. we'd worked out we had this churn rate. We'd also asked the people who were churning who they were and why they were churning. So we dug around in this information, and we decided to let's build some tools to stop this. And this is when we built our retention model. And essentially, this is an engine. So when you come onto Finisterre and you give us your email address, whether you're a customer or you're a new sign-up, we will take the information, and this is an engine to increase engagement and increase sales in the nicest way possible through tailoring our message. To begin with, we were going to map the journey out. So get in the mind of our customer, what happens when they come on our site. So this is George over here. George comes on our website. We mapped it simply as he has 3 options. He either converts, we get a customer, so say good site converts 2%, 2 in every 100 convert. We hope we get some sign-ups, non-customers. These 2 people go through to our database, which is made up of customers and non-customers or prospects, and the rest exit. So 3 interesting metrics just to see how all your visitors are behaving. In terms of mapping out the journey, this is our customer segments, our VIP loyal, that breakdown of where customers fit in our orbit. This is getting into the engine here, which we have manual. These are our main newsletter blasts, and then we have triggered emails, automated emails. And Ometria were really good at recommending a lot of these campaigns to do, when to send based on our buying data. And also, one of the great things which we spoke to Jalal and the guys when they were producing these amazing insights. So we got this awareness of what was going on in our business, and we wanted to action it, and they've been developing this tool to action this. So a lot of these triggers you can set up quite easily with the guys. So we mapped out the journey. So I'm going to go back to George and him coming on our site for a second. So George comes on our site. He's one of the 2 in every 100 that converts. So he becomes a new customer to us. Now we want to do activity to encourage George north. So George has got 2 options when he becomes a new customer. We do activity here to encourage him to buy for a second time when he becomes a loyal customer. Maybe he even loves what he gets, and he buys a couple more times, and he hits a certain threshold and becomes a VIP. That's best case scenario, that the activity we do pushes George north straight away. The other direction George can go is from new, he starts drifting down out of the business and doesn't purchase again. That's when he enters this lapsed phase. And people have different definitions based on your business. I know I was chatting to someone earlier. I think it was Alex, who works for a furniture company, and their purchase life cycle is very long. So her definitions might be slightly different to, say, a clothing business, which we would want customers buying at least once a year, almost in every season. So if George enters the lapse phase, so he hasn't bought in the last 6 months, we've got this promotion set up, ready to go to fire to him, a light promotion. Hey, George, I haven't seen you for a while, or whatever is right for your brand, to try and encourage that purchase before he starts to drift out of the business, before he starts to churn. Then we've got, it's not quite the last chance saloon, but if he ends up going dormant, so he hasn't purchased in 12 months, let's say, we have another triggered email set up, ready to go with a more aggressive promotion to try and get him back in before he churns. So this is our engine here. I'm going to go into 2 examples specifically. If anyone has other questions about other emails there, we can address it in the Q&A or afterwards. These are 2, I'll go back actually. I'm going to show examples of for both ends of the spectrum. So at the top end, our VIP club, and at the bottom end, our dormant promotion. So off the back of the information we got from the survey of 90% very likely or likely to buy again, which is amazing. 3-year product life cycle is quite long, and main barrier to purchasing again, expensive. We formed this dormant email here, which I think it was off James's recommendation for send at 53 weeks, which is based on our buying information. So 53 weeks from your last purchase, if they haven't bought again. We sent this email, which is 25% off our new range, which is a hefty discount, and a message like, you took a chance almost a year ago. And so this email goes out a few a day to anyone who crosses this threshold. And I'll get into the results in a second, but it's been amazing. At the other end of the spectrum, we started this VIP club for customers who spend X with us, our best top customers. And what that essentially is we welcome them into the club. They get free delivery on any UK order, no threshold. And they get a quarterly letter from our founder, kind of bringing them closer to the business. The whole aim of this is to give them a deeper engagement, make them feel closer to the brand. So they get this letter from the founder, a kind of summary on the quarter. We also give them a head start on sales and promotions. We give them preference. And we also give them exclusive invites to events that we have. When we opened the London store, we invited press and our VIPs. And it's amazing sitting there chatting to a VIP customer who just loves the brand and he just can't get enough of it. And he wants to talk to you about every little detail. And bringing them in closer to the business is just such a powerful thing. And we also, this image here is we ran a supper a few months ago at our headquarters in Cornwall over a bank holiday weekend where we put on free food, an amazing barbecue, and invited these customers to come hang out with us and have food and chat. And they got to meet other VIP customers, and they make friends, and it's a great thing. So there are two specific examples from this retention model here. A few weeks ago, I had some people over for dinner. I invited one of my old, really good schoolmates called Pete, who came over, and he arrived half an hour early. We hugged. He brought a nice bottle of wine. I've got a great relationship with that guy, and we do this thing where we've got, we traffic light, so red, amber, green, are keys to mood. So work, love, home, health, that kind of thing. And we get deep quick. And it was great to see him. He came over. His new girlfriend, who I hadn't met yet, she arrived half an hour later, and Pete introduced me to her. It was a slightly more formal affair. Gave her a kiss on the cheek, asked her how her day was. She asked what was my story. I asked what hers was, and we sought common ground to build rapport. Then Chris, who is a university friend of both Pete and I's, who's the kind of guy who just lights up a room, but he's hard to pin down. I'd been on the phone to him most of the week trying to get him to come with the promise of good food, good company, and it's a hassle to get him to come. But he showed up just as we were plating up the food, and it was really great to see him. And I believe the conversations we have with our customers shouldn't be too dissimilar to that real-life example. Pete is my VIP. We have a deep relationship, and we exchange food for wine. His new girlfriend, well, she's my new customer, essentially, for dinner. And we seek this a place in common to build this rapport and grow a friendship out of it. And Chris, he's my dormant who you just want him at the table, but you got to incentivize him. So I was on the phone trying to get him to come, and he came, which is great. So I tailored my message to get them to the table, and I think that is, in this day and age, we can be sophisticated in the way we communicate to customers, much like that. So I just want to end on 3 things to give out today, so you can just run on it. So know your customer. I would suggest going around your business and speaking to 3 heads of departments or whatever, and asking them who is our customer, and getting them to write it down on a piece of paper individually, and then you get together in a meeting and just see how aligned your assumptions are. Bearing in mind they're assumptions, they're not your actual customer, but just see, are you on the same page? Do your best to retain them. Do your best to retain your customers. This starts with understanding your churn rate. It's a really key metric in this whole world of retention, if not the key metric. So understand your churn rate. So how many customers shopped a year ago that haven't shopped this year? How many customers, what's the percentage of customers you're leaking out of the business? So understand your churn rate, and then sit down with your marketing team and understand what it is you're doing to retain customers. What's the activity you're doing to keep a customer coming back? Then finally, tailor communication appropriately. To send the same message out to your best customers, the same message to someone who's just signed up and never bought from you. That's to some degree, that's kind of nuts. What you're trying to do with them is very different. The stage of life cycle with you is very different. So start just working out how you can tailor communication to your top customers who you might want to just deeply engage them in the brand. And similarly to, say, a new sign-up who hasn't bought. You're trying to educate them on your brand, and you're trying to convert them over the line for the very first time. So the conversation you have is very different. And yeah, that's the talk. All right.
Thank you, Gregor. That was really interesting. I've got so many questions I want to ask, but actually Gregor's going to be on the panel later, so I'm going to get a chance to grill him. But would anyone like to ask him a question at this point?
Oh, sorry. I was meant to cover that. The results. Yeah. The all-important results. We lowered our churn rate for a start, which was amazing, from that retention engine. And we actually grew our email revenue. So the triggers, our email revenue grew 10 times based on our normal emails we were sending to our tailored communication. I mean, that's a huge key point that I missed. 10 times it grew, and we lowered our churn. So the engine worked. Tailoring your communication works. Great question. Yeah, thanks.
Actually, do you use when you're splitting between warm and cold prospects? Yes. Right, so they haven't bought anything.
Yeah.
Are you doing? How are you kind of segmenting between those warm and cold? Is it a matter of, well, they just haven't bought anything, so by definition they're cold?
Right, yeah.
Their open rates and click-through rates as well, visit behavior as opposed to just pure transaction?
It's purely transactional at the moment. Off the back of the survey, which basically told us that our dormant customers in their own head weren't dormant. They were loving it. We actually had to rejig that. We pulled that warm list back from customers who shopped in the last year to customers who shopped in the last 24 months. And we also do quite a lot of direct mail, and we did the same there without seeing much of a drop in conversion rate off the direct mail by adding a whole load of customers to it. So our warm list, so our main newsletter blasts, we've split in two to our warm and our cold list. The warm list, customers who've shopped in the last 2 years, we believe we can communicate with them more regularly, more product specific. They're in. The cold list are customers who haven't shopped in the last 2 years or never at all. So if you were once upon a time a customer, but you've drifted out of the business for 2 years, we're almost treating you like a prospect again. And the whole thing there is to just engage and convert you for the first time. So our messaging changes, and we send less frequently. There's more education to it. That's the yeah.
Okay. Does anyone have more questions? One over there. I think that is that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marion.
At the moment, so if we have our manual emails, which you will never send more than 2 a week, and the 2 a week will only go if you're a customer in the last 2 years. And then we have our I think there's about 6 or 7 triggers live at the moment based on all these different criteria. And currently, I'm not too concerned about, given there's 2 emails coming manually, I'm not too concerned about 1 trig. I mean, 2 trigs would maybe start to be concerning, but I think the chances of that happening to the majority of people is slim at the moment. I would say we're in phase 1 of the triggered email, that retention model. I will see that, I do see there being a phase 2 where we go a step deeper in it, and I can see that becoming a problem where you go, I don't want anyone on my database to receive more than 3 emails a week. That's almost pushing it. And I know there's software out there where you can say, like, stop it at that point. We currently don't use it. I think we're a step away from reaching that concern in amongst a number of the other things we're tackling.
I think we got a question from Abby. Yeah.
Hi, are you segmenting at all by demographic or purchase types? Or sort of, sort of looking at your customer in terms of kind of personality of customer?
Yeah, that's a good question. Not at the moment. I think we're still a relatively small online business, and I think when you become a big business, I believe you can start to tailor this customer types you're going for. At the moment, I think there's a beauty in focusing on a customer that we have, and there was strong, consistent things that came through all the survey, because after serving the dormants, we surveyed a lot of our other segments and built up a picture of the whole database, and had that come back with a wide array of different people that we maybe would have tried to appease a few of them, but I actually would have thought we'd probably still pick a customer and focus specifically on them. And that obviously will sell to everyone else, but in terms of marketing and product, I think small business having a customer in mind keeps things focused and keeps things potent, and then as the business grows, add in another customer type. In terms of segmenting on product, was that one of your questions? We've done a bit of that. So it would generally come from either we need a sales injection this week, or an overstock situation where we would look at a specific category and just go, anyone who's shopped that in the last 2 years, let's do a promotion on that. But I think I always feel there's this point in the resources to generate that campaign. It has to warrant the outcome, and I think when we get down to the category level, based on the size of the business we're at the moment, we're not quite there. But I see that coming in the future.